Okay. All right. What's up? Okay. So here's the video I told you I'd make. I will try to keep this as concise as I can, but I also don't want to omit information that I think is useful or helpful to you. So I don't know how long this is going to be, but I'm going to kind of make it like I would just I just want to make a video that would be useful to any brand new pipe smoker. I'm not going to assume that you know anything, although you obviously do. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So first, let's talk about the tools I've got. So obviously I got my pipe, my tobacco, lighter, and tamp. Now the tamp tool that we bought together has 3 tools in it. This is the tamp. This is what you're going to be using primarily for smashing down your tobacco. This is the stirrer. So if for whatever reason you overpacked your pipe or overcompressed it and you needed to break up the tobacco that was in your bowl, that's what you would use this for. And then this is kind of a scooper, scraper situation. It just helps you clean out your bowl when you're done with it. That's what I use it primarily for. Anyway, so those are your tools there. Lighter, obviously. We talked a little bit about lighters. There's a feature on this lighter that I like specifically. Well, a few. So first of all, it's butane. The advantage of butane is it, in theory, doesn't impart any sort of flavor or taste into your pipe smoke. I don't know if that's a big deal or not. I've never smoked with a Zippo that uses, liquid fuel, but it is not wind guarded, which it doesn't need to be, because you can make your own by just cupping the bowl and lighting this way. But a wind guard would be nice. But the thing I really like about it is I really think, I haven't smoked with a Zippo, so I don't know this, but I have a feeling that even with all the wind protection and all of that stuff, it's still going to go out. And when it does, this particular lighter is really easy because it's a big scroll wheel on the side. So you just scroll that and it lights up real fast, which is helpful. When you're trying to give your pipe a consistent light. If your light keeps going out and it takes forever, like maybe you have some lighters, you have to close them and open them back up to relight them. So anyway, that's kind of what I look for, is just like the ease of relighting, because it's gonna go out if you're smoking outdoors, which I think we're primarily doing. So yeah, lighter, it's great. This one was fairly cheap. It's a Vizol. I think it was like 40 or 50 bucks. So I guess it's not super cheap, but lighters get real expensive, so I like it. And then the tobacco. Now, something to note with the tobacco, this is brand new, and so it's going to be wet, or wetter than it would be, if it's been, sitting, for a few weeks or a few months. If you have trouble lighting, like we're going to talk about all of the different things that you can do to help yourself with that. But one of the last things you can do is dry this stuff out on purpose. Do you have to do that? No, I've never done it. So I know that it can be done. There's some sort of paper towel magic. You can look it up on YouTube. I've never found it necessary, but if you are still having trouble keeping it consistently lit and all those kinds of things, it might be helpful to do. So okay, so let's kind of walk through the process of getting this thing packed and lit properly. So, I like to do this. Right over my bag, because you're gonna drop some tobacco and you want it to fall back into the bag that you're storing it in, not all over the place. So what I like to do is called the 3-pinch method, or at least that's what I call it. What we're trying to achieve is essentially even airflow across the whole bowl. So if I were to just take a giant handful of this stuff, cram it into my pipe, light it, and go, it would burn. But the problem is that the stuff at the very bottom of the bowl would be compacted more than the stuff at the top, because of all the pressure of the stuff on top of it. And so what we're trying to accomplish is even pressure, even pack throughout the whole thing, so that air can pass through it evenly, so that it can burn evenly. So what I do is I take a small pinch of tobacco and put it down in there with barely any pressure, then a medium pinch with light pressure, and then a larger pinch with, light medium pressure. I mean, none of this is aggressive, but ultimately it's not really a sign. There's 1,000 ways to do this, and everybody and their mother has an opinion. This is just what I've done, and it's worked for me. I am not the expert, so there's plenty of YouTube channels out there that are definitely more knowledgeable than I am. But this is what I've done. This is what has worked for me. I haven't really felt the need to change this, so I haven't. So there's my small pinch. I'm going to push it down. I'm just making room. I'm not really pushing down here at all, really. Just making room for some more. Okay, that's it. Then we're going to get a little bit more than my initial pinch. We're going to push it in there. It should look a little full on the second pinch, like you should kind of get it to the top of the bowl, and then push it down and make that room for your last pinch. And the amount of room should be roughly 40-ish% of the bowl left after this step. Like, that's about 40%-ish. That's kind of what I shoot for anyway. And then this last one, you really want to really want it to kind of be over full, and then we're going to cram all that in there. Cram is a bad adjective, but we are going to push this stuff down in so that it's nice and flush with the rim of our pipe here. Knock off any excess, so all that you've got is the stuff in your bowl. Okay, and that's a nice little pack there. It's nice and flush with the top. There's some sprigs that are still sticking out. That'll help the lighting process be consistent. So a nice little litmus test at this point you can do to make sure that you haven't overfilled it or something like that that's going to make it really hard to burn, is give it a draw. Like, draw on it before you light it. So pull air in through the thing, and if there's not much resistance, like if it feels more or less like it did when it was, it had no tobacco in it, then that's what you want. If you're finding you're having to kind of suck in air to get it through the pipe, you've overpacked it. And it's going to be really hard for that to stay lit, and you're going to have a tough time. So just dump it out and try again. There's no shame in that, especially when you're first starting. So, okay. Now, this next step is what I like to call it. We're basically creating a bed of ash that's going to protect and insulate the rest of your tobacco and its burning. So what we're doing is we're going to kind of singe the top portion of the tobacco, and then we're going to use our tamp to break up that ash and kind of push it in and make an even bed it'll do two things. It'll protect the tobacco underneath from getting blown out by wind, and it will also insulate what's going on in there. So if you set your pipe down, you walk away from it for 5-10 minutes, you come back, it's not going to be producing smoke, but it will still be warm. It will still be lit, not in a way that's making it easy to smoke, but it will be really, really easy to get back to that point. It's just a quick, 2-second light job, and you're done. I think that this is the secret. Again, I'm not the expert, but all of the positive smokes I've had a good bed of ash, and all of the ones that were kind of like, that was annoying, my bed of ash was weird or inconsistent or whatever. So, okay, so let's light this thing up. Now, two things are happening here. Thing number one is what you're doing with your hands. So on a day like today, you can kind of tell. I don't know if you can tell, but I'll just tell you, it's a little breezy, a little windy, and with a lighter without a wind guard, you're cupping it is a must. That means that the chances of you burning yourself are higher. So if when you're first learning how to do this, it's helpful to get into a place that doesn't have any wind. Either pick a day that's not windy, or find, you know, a wall that's going to keep you insulated from the wind as much as possible, so that you're not being messed up by that and you're not having to worry about that too much. Second thing you can do is just get a lighter that has a wind guard. And then third, we talked about drying out the tobacco and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so hand stuff. So guarding your flame with your opposite hand, the hand that's holding the pipe, is huge. And then what you're going to do with your lighter is you're not going to put it into the tobacco. You're going to hover it over the tobacco, and you're going to kind of make circular motions. And the reason we do this is a couple things. So thing number one, you don't want to put the flame down into the tobacco, because it can potentially burn your tobacco, and it can potentially burn the rim of the pipe. I mean, generally speaking, the cooler you can keep your pipe, the more flavors are going to come through, and they're not going to feel as washed out or burned, because while the flame is necessary for you to get the smoke, obviously, you can overdo it. And I have overdone it, and it does make a difference. So, yeah, so we're not going to put the flame down in. And the other reason we don't do that is because it's inconsistent. If I've got a flame sticking right down into the tobacco, the tobacco leaves that are touching the flame are going to get really, really hot, and the flames around it are not going to get as hot. And so it leads to inconsistency in your light. So we're just going to hover it over, circle it around, and then we're going to draw the flame into the pipe with our breath. Okay, so let's talk about that breath. I'm sure you know, but I'll say it anyway. You're not inhaling. Pipe smoke is not designed to be inhaled. It's not good for you to inhale it, and quite frankly, it's not pleasant. Like, you shouldn't want to. This is primarily about the experience and the lighting and the tasting and the doing of it. It's a hobby. It's not a way to get nicotine. You're actually not ingesting very much nicotine at all when you do this. When you do this right, at least. So don't breathe it in. Instead, kind of lock your lungs so they're not moving, and then pull the air from your pipe into your mouth with your tongue. So when you yawn, obviously your lungs are involved, so don't read into this too much, but your tongue will kind of move into the back of your throat. You know, your throat will open, it'll move back, and it will pull air into your mouth. That's kind of what we're doing. So you can practice this, because we're going to do all of this at once, and to get a proper light, you kind of have to draw in air, release it, draw in air, release it, draw in air, release it, because, you know, one puff or two is not going to get sufficient. You're not going to get that sufficient ash layer built up. So there's kind of a lot of stuff going on, and if you're trying to learn all of it at once, you can easily accidentally burn your hand or scorch your pipe or whatever. So the less things you're trying to learn at the same time, the better. So I'd practice that breathing before you even try this. But once you got that down and you're ready to start, this is what it's going to look like. I unfortunately can't show you. I wish it was a really still day and I could just hover it and you can see exactly what's going on, but I'm going to have to cover it with my hand, which means you won't be able to see it. But I'll do my best to show you exactly what we're doing. Okay? Let's do this. My lighter is... so this will be interesting. My lighter is out of fuel. 1 second. I suppose this would be an interesting time to show you how this works. So what you saw there was me purging the lighter, so it has this inlet for butane gas to go right there. I was just using my stirrer to kind of press that down and verify indeed there was no butane in there. And there wasn't. I didn't hear any hissing or anything coming out. That if you push that valve down and it's full, it'll all leak out. And you want to do that every time you fill it, because if you try to fill a lighter like this that already has butane in it, you can damage the mechanism. So here's my little butane boy. Kind of turn it upside down. Just do 1, 2, 3. And now, oh yeah, okay. That's windy, so back to business as usual. Here we go. Oh yeah, real windy. Okay, it looks like it's lit. It is, but not the way we want it. So do you see how that very top layer is now a little burned, a little ashy, but you can still see all of the sprigs, I mean, it basically just looks like it did before we lit it, but now some of it is burnt. Duh. What we're gonna do is we'll take our tamp, and this is not a very aggressive process at all, is we're just gonna break it up a little bit. I'm gonna push it down ever so slightly and try to create this barrier between the tobacco underneath and the outside air. Now, I only got one in. I like to do this, 2, maybe even 3 times before I have a bed that I'm happy with. But look now, look how much more even that looks. And we can get it better if we do it a couple more times. So let's try it some more. Okay. Okay. So now look at that. Do you see how even that is? It's not perfect. And there's guys that can do this better than me. But that's kind of what we're looking for. And now when I light it the third time and I really let it actually light, you see that? You can't hardly see any glow because that ash is covering it, but it's still smoking, obviously, you can tell. That is, in my opinion, the difference between a pleasant and a non-pleasant smoke. If you take the time to do this, then everything after this point is really straightforward. Now we're just smoking. Now we're just having a good time. So that bed of ash is really good. And something I can't show you on camera, but I could see it just now when I was lighting it. As I lit the pipe and I was drawing the flame into the tobacco and I was watching the tobacco burn, as I was bringing my air, I could see that the entire bowl was getting lit and there was an even temperature and there was an even color across the whole thing. It was just all glowing that nice, amber color that it glows when you light it. If you haven't packed it well, or your technique for lighting isn't very good, you'll see some spots get really bright and some spots might not get lit at all, and you'll see kind of this uneven light situation. That's not a problem. You can still smoke it. It's just not going to be as ideal, and it's going to be a little bit harder to maintain. But as I've sat here and I'm chatting with you, I can feel the bowl is still warm because the tobacco is lit. But watch this. Nothing. It's not giving me any smoke. And that's pretty normal. All I have to do, hit it one more time. and that's it. That was a really, really fast light. It wasn't the same process, the same finicky thing. I'm barely even really looking at it because I took the time to do this. And so that's what I really like about this method. Is it is really hands-on at the beginning, and then it becomes hands-off as you continue. And now we're just smoking. And basically from the time you light the pipe to the time it completely goes out and you can't smoke it, you're going to have to completely relight it. The amount of smoke you're going to be able to, the flame burning in there, the amount of smoke you're going to be able to draw out of it decreases less and less and less. But right now, that was just a tiny amount of smoke. If I keep drawing air through that pipe, it's gonna kind of catch and relight. As long as you have some smoke, you usually don't have to relight. Sometimes you do, but most of the time, no. If you've packed this well, if there's any smoke at all coming out of it, you just give it a couple draws, and it'll kick right back up. Another thing you can do to kind of keep oxygen moving through it is you can breathe in, breathe out through the pipe. So like I'll breathe in my smoke, and then instead of just releasing it into the air, I'll breathe it back through the opening, through the stem, out of the bowl, and smoke will actually come out of the bowl. Like, let me see if I can show you. You see that? That can help keep your pipe lit so that you don't have to, grab your lighter again. But that's kind of it. And we're just sitting here, we're having a great time. We're talking about, philosophy, or, the heat death of the universe, and enjoying some tobacco. So, that's about all I've got for you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah, have a great time. It's a super fun hobby. See ya.